Hi everybody, it's been a while since I've done a video. I've been a bit busy. Today we're going to be looking at quite an old video by Sleeping Warrior where he does celestial navigation in the sky using Pythagoras with no sextant. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. Let's have a look. I'm going to play the video and keep pausing it every now and again to make a few comments.
Okay, this is a short video dedicated to Ruhif. Ruhif is a smarmy, patronising, condescending prick on the anti-flat earth side. He doesn't realise that he doesn't know everything about everything, but I do realise that I don't know everything about everything. So this is a request for further information from Ruhif, because he seems to be the font of all knowledge when it comes to anything to do with anything in this topic. Self-proclaimed, I might add.
Right, so straight away, anything about anything, everything about everything. I'll just give a little background. Ruhif is somebody who has actually given a demonstration of celestial navigation. He's done a video of it on his channel, which is something that flat earthers have never done. There's no flat earther video demonstrating how celestial navigation works anywhere on YouTube.
Obviously, the current buzzword at the moment is sextants. This year is all about sextants, and we've been talking about it for a while. Sextants do not work on a globe, for a variety of reasons, all of which are completely ignored by the anti-flat earth cult members.
Sextants only work on a globe. They can't work on a flat earth. The mathematics and everything behind it used to come up with the almanacs and all that kind of stuff are all based on globe mathematics.
And today we're going to go through why this is an issue for the ball earth believers or the anti-flat earthers. 5 slides, I'll be as quick as I can, and we'll end up with a question for Ruhif.
Straight away, I've got a problem with the image on the screen there. It's a right angle triangle, and right angle triangles are not used in celestial navigation.
A video response, Ruhif, because I want to see you commit to something stupid. Slide 1. Everybody thinks that when we measure out to the horizon at a star, everybody thinks that we're going to measure like this. We're going to measure the angle to the horizon up to the star, get a value, and then you're going to go, great, we've got a value. But a legitimate question is, how do you get the GP distance? The distance from the observer on the right. There's Ruhif stood on the ball. Notice I've got the ball underneath him.
Getting the GP distance is kind of the whole idea of doing celestial navigation.
You get the observer, how do you get the distance out to the horizon? Because that's the issue, isn't it? And that's a legitimate question. I asked that the first time I saw this issue coming up. I asked myself the same question. I knew eventually somebody would ask it, so I just bit my tongue and I waited to see what would happen. And eventually went out at this point. And the issue is, when it comes to this first slide, is whatever you point whatever you set your baseline to, if we say you set it to your horizon, because that is what you do. But they say, well, you don't need the horizon, we set it to horizontal.
Nobody says that you don't need the horizon. There are sextants that have bubbles in them, like a kind of spirit level, and you can get like a horizontal from that. But with a normal sextant, you would sight it to the horizon.
Ignore the horizon, and they set it to that. Well, if you ignore the horizon, then you haven't got accuracy with your measurements. Now, ultimately, they always say how important it is for accuracy. But I suppose you could say to them, well, I can understand that you don't necessarily need it. So at this point, you could set yourself, without having a straight line to the horizon, you could set it to no horizon at all, based purely on horizontal.
What the hell is he talking about? What did that even mean?
Obviously, remember that there is no line of sight to the horizontal on their model that's straight, because of 7.6R. The line out to the horizon or the set horizontal on their model, because you're looking through the optics of the sextant, is subject to refraction at the rate of 7 over 6R.
It's a line of sight, Anthony. It's an imaginary line. There's nothing there to be refracted.
Therefore, a curved line. So their argument immediately fails. Okay?
No, it's not a curved line. Like I've just said, the line doesn't even exist. It's a line of sight. There's nothing there to be refracted.
Everything on their model is a curve. It's applying curvilinear geometry, right? It's not applying Euclidean. There are no straight lines on their model. So they can't even do this when they try and set to the horizontal, because their horizontal isn't a straight line.
I don't even know what he's talking about setting to the horizontal. What you do is you sight the horizon with the sextant, and then you might need to apply dip correction depending on the height of eye when you do it, and that gives you an approximate horizontal to measure an elevation angle from to the star.
Their model, well, that debunks their model, doesn't it? Because they can't use a sextant for it. But anyway,
nothing has been debunked.
We'll come back to that. But it is a legitimate question to ask: how do you get the horizontal distance? And that is legitimate. So we've been doing a bit of research into how celestial navigation is done using a sextant, and this is what they do. So if we look on slide 2, to get around the issue of the horizon and the ambiguity that surrounds it on both models, what they do is if you're on a ball, like so. I know this is begging the question, but I've got to do it for their argument to show how it doesn't work for them. But it only works for us. But we've got Ruhif here. He's on the right-hand side. He's on his ball, and he's setting his zenith. He's got a plumb bob or a pendulum or whatever to set his vertical.
This is not what you do at all in celestial navigation. People don't stand on ships with plumb bobs.
Obviously, on their model, everybody's got a different vertical. But for this example, it doesn't matter, because this works for everybody on a ball to a point. So at this point, Ruhif sets his vertical. And then you can see at this point that the line it's got an infinite distance. So the vertical is as far as you can imagine in the biggest number that you can ever imagine. It's not set to any particular distance. It's got a direction, but it's got no magnitude. There's no quantification there. It's an indefinite line. Let's move to slide 2. What you then do is you want to measure the distance of the dotted line in time. So to measure that distance, because once you get a distance, right, because we all know we need an angle and 2 sides, or we need 2 angles and 1 side.
We don't need those dimensions that you've just said. It's not, this isn't Pythagoras. You don't use Pythagoras in celestial navigation. This is just a massive misunderstanding here. And measuring a distance in arc minutes. How'd you do that? Arc minutes are like angles. You can't measure distances in arc minutes. This is just insane.
In this instance, we're going to be using 2 angles and 1 side. So what we're going to...
Again, he seems to think this is Pythagoras. You don't use Pythagoras in celestial navigation.
So we're going to measure the distance of the dotted line in time. So I don't mean time as in hours, minutes and seconds. I mean time as in arc seconds, arc minutes. Time in this instance.
I would love for him to put some numbers into this diagram and show how you measure a distance in arc minutes in time. This is just a load of bollocks.
Is applying the inverse trigonometric functions, and you can see by this clip that these are used to obtain an angle.
The inverse trigonometric functions.
From any of the angle's trigonometric ratios. Inverse trigonometric functions are widely used in engineering, navigation, physics and geometry. So this is essentially what's being applied at this point. So we are measuring the distance of the dotted line as a length in time, not in meters or kilometers, miles, kilometers, anything like that. This is measured in time. So it's arc seconds, arc minutes, right? Once you get that distance, you've got an angle from the observer. You've now got a distance from the observer, which is the dotted line. But at this point, it's the only two values that you've got. You need a third, don't you? But the moment you get...
Again, you don't need a third. It's not Pythagoras, Anthony. And just looking at this diagram on the screen, where exactly does the sextant come into this? What are you doing with the sextant? Pointing it straight up in the sky or something?
Distance in time, the dotted line. Once you measure that distance in time, you then crop off the values, the infinite lines that we had before. The infinite lines are no longer infinite. Once you get...
He's basically here got exactly the same triangle as he had in the first slide, but just the other way up. This guy is so thick.
Distance in the dotted line, you then get a 90-degree angle from your zenith, your vertex of your zenith, your highest point of your zenith. You get a 90-degree angle from there.
The highest point of your zenith. How the hell do you work that out, Anthony?
So at this point, we now have your angle from the observer, you have the distance measured in time, number 2, and you have your 90-degree angle, number 3. But you'll notice now that the lines are no longer infinite. The lines are now cropped because we now create a triangle, a celestial triangle, in the sky, not against the ground. And
a celestial triangle in the sky with cropped lines. You couldn't have had any clue where you would crop those lines. This is just ridiculous.
It's irrelevant to the shape of the Earth. So at this point, ball earthers can get away with arguing that the sextants work on a globe.
No ball earther, as you call them, does celestial navigation in this way, Anthony. Nobody does celestial navigation in this way.
But let there be no doubt, we do have the 3 values that we need. We've got the number 1, the measurement of the angle from the observer.
Again, he thinks this is Pythagoras. He just doesn't have a clue how this is done at all. And he's making a video trying to say that Ruhif is an idiot who's actually done a full demonstration of how this works on his channel.
2, the distance in time of the star to the zenith. And we've got number 3, we've got the right angle 90 degree. And at that point, the trigonometry can be done. However, because on the sphere, on their model, this can't be done because of 7/6r, when the observer looks out to the star, whatever angle that is, that line, that optical line of sight through the sextants, imagine that you're looking down the barrel of the gun, you've got the sextant up to your eye, and you're looking out to that star. On their model, because light does not follow a straight line, that means that this line from the observer to the star is a curve.
Oh my God. Again, Anthony, it's a line of sight. It's just like a direction. You're just pointing at the star. There's nothing there to be curved. There's not a piece of string going from you to the star or something like that, or anything there that could be refracted.
Because of 7/6r, they cannot triangulate with a curve. They need 3 straight lines and they need angles. Well, that means that angle 1 cannot be achieved on their model because the line, the hypotenuse, is subject to a curve, 7/6r.
Even if what you were saying were right, on a flat Earth, if the Earth was flat, that wouldn't make any difference. This is just insane.
That angle cannot be measured from their perspective. The zenith is a straight line, because that's the only time where there's a straight line on their model. The zenith, the vertical from the observer. So the zenith is a straight line, but the hypotenuse, the angle, the line out to the star, is a curve, because everything's apparent in their perspective according to their model. So they cannot do this. Now, Ruhif, you claim that I have got it wrong when I say that we measure the distance in time to get the value so that we can work out the distance to the star.
Sorry, I've not cropped the screen properly on the video here, but it doesn't matter because it's all a load of bollocks anyway.
Earth, when we're the GP, the distance to the star along.
Hang on a minute. Is that something there said distance in national miles? What is a national mile?
Horizon on Earth. Okay. Explain how I've got it wrong, please. With diagrams and showing how you can do it on a ball. Because you guys can't do it on a ball. Everything's a curved line in your model apart from your vertical. So curvilinear, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to apply curvilinear geometry, fine, sextants don't work on a sphere. If you're going to apply Euclidean geometry, then that's fine as well, but you've got to accept that your 7/6r's out the window. You can't have it both ways, gentlemen. So it's either Euclidean or curvilinear. If it's Euclidean, you can't have 7/6r. If it's curvilinear, then you can't have sextants on a globe, but you can't have both positions at the same time. You're in a direct contradiction. This completely debunks your model, because no matter which way you go from here, your model's over, guys. It's fucked. You're in a direct geometrical contradiction. You cannot get out of this.
Anthony, you're a complete dickhead. You've misunderstood the whole thing. On top of that, you're a complete liar. There's no way you've got a law degree, mate. No way. You can't even deal with English properly, you know. And nothing's been debunked. You've just made a complete and utter dick of yourself, mate. See you later.